We get to this place.
Long Island.
It's on Long Island, yeah. And it's at the basement of a popular venue. And this basement, it looks like where they kind of brainstormed and created coronavirus. Like, it looks like that much of an Illuminati stranglehold Bilderberg group. Like, literal... Every other closet is a movable bookshelf with a room in the back. One had stripper.
Like in a cool way or in like a terrifying
in an awesome way.
Oh, okay.
In the best way possible. In a way where you're like, I see why they drink babies.
Right.
You know, it's like, smoothing me up. I don't give a fuck. I'm ready to join this.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's rooms with like stripper poles that you can't even see. You go through a weird old timey phone booth, and all of a sudden you're in this back room where the green room and all this stuff. It's so fucking cool. But, you know, as people are coming in and going to their assigned seats, you kind of get the vibe of who they are, and they're private members of this place.
Right.
So they're upper crust, Long Island trash.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's wealthy white trash.
They're white trash with boat money.
That's right. Yeah. And boy, do they have the fastest boat that can buy.
Yeah.
Can't
they have a cigarette boat with flames on the side of it.
Oh, yeah. Can't fit their kids on it, but boy, do they have fun.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Every one of those parents owns a 2-seater Miata. And you're like, come on, dude. You have 2 newborns. They're like, but it's a convertible.
It's that one thing I do for me.
Yeah. This is for them. Everything I do is for them. This is for me.
My uncle had got like all of his daughters, talk about Long Island, got all of his daughters' names tattooed on a rose stem. And then, all 4 of them, I forget who asked, but I think it was probably my grandmother. She was like, what about your wife? And he's like, children are forever.
Yeah. I got to be honest. I agree with that. Like, Erica's the love of my life. I wouldn't get her name tattooed.
No, I wanted desperate, so I just put on my wedding ring again for like the first time in 10 months because I figured if I was inside, who am I telling?
Right.
But I do want to get like some sort of tattoo there, but Nicole's like, just get like an N on your finger, and I was like, why? So I have to cut it off in 6 years?
Sure, that went over well.
It didn't. Not a good bet.
So anyway, so get the tattoo aside.
Right.
Back to Long Island people.
So we get there, and like the lady that runs it is really nice. One of the is it's like his room basically, and I don't know if I should say that actually. Bleep that out maybe, Alex. So because a lot of people have been hitting him up to do it, it's just become a huge thing.
Not after this.
Nope. So this Irish guy from Long Island hosts it, but he and he's telling us about it. They're telling us about it. They're also like, hey, we're totally cool and everything's on the up and up. But if you see a flashing light, get off the stage. Like, drop the microphone, don't say bye, and get off the stage. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's totally fine. Like, everything's cool. Like, we're good. But if you see, like, they said it like 8 times, and I'm like,
like a speakeasy, like if you see the flashing light, pull the chandelier so the piano player goes behind the wall and it turns it back into a bookshelf.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and I first of all I was like, oh, there's no problem. They're like, we just
Alex,
have
please laugh on mic. Thank you.
They're like, we have a hard out at 8:30. We started at 7. There's no way we're gonna hit 8:30.
Yeah.
I'm stretching to 40. It's perfectly fine. You know. So we have no problem with it. I'm like, yeah, cool. We're gonna be out. It's all good. So we're sitting in the back waiting to go on. We can't really go out to watch the show because the door of the phone booth, like, you open it and just goes Kah! Like, it just makes that kind of noise every time. And it was like, I tried to do it to watch the host set, and everybody just goes and just looks over to me, and I'm like,
Oh, so it's a 3-man show. There's a host, too. So the producer is hosting it?
The producer is hosting it. Also a hilarious comic, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to say his name, but,
Nice guy. I've worked with him before.
Yeah, really
at
nice
Uncle
guy.
Vinny's.
And also would probably do well on this podcast. We should have him thematically.
This should have been the episode.
I know. No. Never mind. Sorry. Forget it. You'll never be on. It was this or nothing.
Yeah.
So we, I disrupt the entire show. I kind of crawl back into the other room.
Yeah. You go up, Kah! And you go, oh, sorry. And all of a sudden it closes and you go, oh, I forgot my phone. Kah!
No.
Kah!
Brendan did. He lumbered out there because he wanted to watch it. And, he circus tumbled into the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
Everybody giggled, whatever. But we kind of could hear what was going on. And it wasn't like... it wasn't an energetic crowd, but we were like, I think we hear laugh at, like, we weren't sure because we're kind of really disconnected from the room and we didn't know exactly how muted the walls were.
And now is Pimp and John set up already at this point?
They're set up. They're totally set up.
They're in the crowd?
Yeah, and they're like, this is definitely weird. And they're like, you can't get anybody from the crowd's face in it. And like hardcore. And we were like, all right, that's what are they on, fucking Epstein's log?
Yeah,
like, Jesus Christ. So we, they're set up, all that stuff. Brendan goes out. I'm kind of half listening. I have to piss every 6 seconds. The lady that runs it wouldn't ever stop talking, so I was just like pretending I had to piss. She's like, you pissed 3 minutes ago. I was like, I know, I just, coffee. And I kept walking back into the bathroom. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't take this fucking ear beating for much longer. So
another episode of Mike gets socially dominated.
Yeah, what the fuck? But Brendan actually did too. And as a matter of fact, everybody in the room did. And the guy who ran it was like, I am sorry for her. And not to mention, she had like the lowest cut shirt on of all time and just was like full tits and in an almost I dare you to look, like, or I dare you not to look.
50s?
Was she?
Yeah.
No,
40s?
She was in her 30s.
Oh.
I would assume. Yeah. But kept talking to me about cold cheese pizza and hammering home how good it was. And I was like, I couldn't be less interested in this conversation.
Was she stoned, do you think?
No, but I was.
Yeah.
So, that's probably why I was.
So now I'm waiting and starving for cold pizza and...
I ordered a pizza from her at that moment. I was like, I'm not getting that bullshit, but just give me the regular one you guys serve here.
Yeah.
So I go out and, like, at this point, Brendan goes on, right?
Hold on a sec. Do you think any place does that?
What?
Like, do you think there's a business or like a restaurant or a bar that sells cold pizza, like on the menu?
No, so this is what it is. It's hot pizza with cold cheese. So they don't put the cheese in the oven with it. They just bake the bread and the fucking sauce.
Oh, I hate that.
She was like, it's a huge it's a Long Island delicacy, and the place has lines wrapped around the fucking block.
But do you think there's any, because I do feel like there's a market, because a lot of people love cold pizza. There should be a business where people give you like a pizzeria, a slice place, where they go, do you want a hot slice or a cold slice? And they'll give you like a refrigerated slice that you could just fucking eat. It's the same pizza. It's just, cold.
We should open up a place called Cold Pizza and Wings.
Okay.
I
now
love
you're
cold
throwing wings in there. You like cold wings.
You don't like next day wings?
I don't know if I do, because I like the snap of the crunch of it.
I'm not saying I don't like hot wings.
Yeah.
I'm saying I like cold wings.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about the business strategy on this, but I do.
Cold pizza and wings and Chinese food.
And then hot beers. Something that's.
Yeah, and warm beers.
And then cut to us just with our empty pockets outstretched, like, how did this fail?
Well, but all we did was order from our neighbors, and then put it in a fridge.
Yeah, in a college mini fridge. We couldn't even have inventory.
Then upsell by $12.
Yeah. Why is this cold slice $6?
The broccoli and the General Tso's is just stuck together like a snowball.
Oh, you ever do that? You take the Chinese thing and you put it on the frying pan to heat it up, and it just falls out in one coagulated like icicle of food.
I'm not
cube.
I'm not proud to admit this, but at my weakest point, I've picked that cube up and eaten it like an apple. I really have. I aimed for chicken first, but I've eaten it like an apple.
The old Canon Chinese cube tick. Tick.
No ticky. Yeah. No laundry.
Oh, if only Alex were listening. All right, let's keep moving. And so the door's too loud. So you're in the back.
The door's coughing every time you
yeah.
open it. Brendan's been on stage for like 10 minutes or whatever, and I haven't heard any of his set. I'm too busy avoiding social interactions. And then finally, I kind of go outside, and he's probably 15 minutes into a 20-minute set.
He's doing 20. Okay.
Again,
so he should be lit at 15.
We started at 7. 7:05. We had a hard 7 start because it's going to be an 8:30 hard stop, right? The SLA.
And is it
coming.
sold out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's sold out in the sense that all the tables and seats were taken.
Sure.
There's definitely a lot of space, but it's like
Well, it's a huge place. So what you're saying is you'd say 30 people, 50 people, I don't know. I'm trying to guess.
60.
60. Okay.
I'd say 60
yeah,
probably.
Great.
Yeah. So maybe less. I don't know. Numbers might as well be numbers.
They are.
Might as well be Chinese.
Aren't you in luck?
So I get up. Brendan's like 15 minutes into a joyless set. Like, I mean, on his part, on the audience's part, on everybody in the surrounding town's part, not one human had a shred of fun. And Brendan is like, he's really doing and delivering it in the same cadence as it worked on his album, as it's worked in countless clubs, and they're just like, just looking at him like he's a fucking, like he's literally a zoo exhibit. Like they're just kind of like, whoa, remember the times when comedy was a thing? Like they went there to almost to watch a fucking VCR salesman hang themselves in front of him. So, Brendan's up there and he's bombing, and he's like asking questions. He's calling them trash quite a bit, which I think they're not. So that like struck them wrong immediately. And a lot of Brendan's act is predicated on how he feels about himself. And it's a lot of
people from Long Island.
And people from Long Island. And it's a lot of throwing around the trash word. So I think they were in this weird, almost like trash vortex where they all disagreed on the general principles of what's trash.
And I'm sure they also probably have pretty strong political opinions, which I feel like might make them a bit more sensitive to certain I wonder, certain words and definitions of trash.
I think like they aren't. It was a weird vibe because they're not like stand by the side of the road with a sign Trump supporters. They're the ones that probably funded some of the insurrectionists. Like they may have tossed some cash to their fucking dopey cousin who then ran into AOC's office and jerked off to the smell of her seat.
Okay.
That was me. That's why I grew this beard. So Brendan's having a tough time. He's asking questions. He's trying to do the crowd work thing where he's like, I'm gonna bring you into this, and it's just not fucking happening. It's not working. And I'm noticing that he's like going long, and even on stuff that like, oh, there's a laugh, like get the fuck off. He's not.
Where is he lit at this? Because he should be lit at 15.
He was lit at like 18.
18.
So
at most he's got a 5-minute window.
At most, yeah.
So 23 minutes.
23 minutes, which still would have given me like 48 to play with, which is perfectly fine, right? So he's like, hitting a joke and then kind of asking somebody a follow-up question, hitting the joke and then asking somebody a follow-up question. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like not mad at Brendan, so to say. Like really, I'm like mad at the whole situation. Like I'm like, this fucking sucks. I'm kind of embarrassed that I asked Homeless Pimp and John to film this because it's just clearly not a filmable show. Like I just got done being at Uncle Vinny's with Lewis, and by the end of that week, I knew how to do comedy again. Right. And I feel completely competent, and I was on this like real flow and felt pretty good. Wednesday was such a nightmare, but by Saturday, it's like, oh, okay, sure. I'm a professional again. I know how to do it. So I had that going into this performance, and I'm just seeing Brendan, and he keeps asking questions, and so it's like he's at 25, he's at 28, and I'm like, what's going on here? And like then he's at like 31.
Did they second light him?
They say, and. But I didn't see anything. I'm like behind in a booth with Pimp and fucking John, and I'm kind of watching over their shoulder. And the guy is standing at the doorway, the loud doorway where we exited, and he's there with his phone. So I don't know if he's
he's right at the side of the stage.
He's right at the side of the stage, but he's still like 20 feet away, like or 30 feet away. But so I don't know what's happening, and Brendan's at 35 now, and I'm like, what? Like
so long to like. From if you think you're doing 20 and then you're literally almost doing double the amount of time. And especially if you're bombing during that feels like 3 days.
He did 42 minutes.
No, he didn't.
He did 42? 2 minutes. 42 minutes.
That is.
And do you know why he stopped? Because Papa Cannon just flew him in like he's a Boeing 737. I just fucking threw my phone
I can't believe you waited till 40.
I just didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
42 minutes.
And I was just like, what? Like,
at no point did he do the, hey, did you guys light me? Like,
never.
You know that moment? That I would have done that at 21, 22, 23, 24.
Dude, insane. So 42 minutes,
So he ran his whole special.
He ran the whole thing plus more. Plus he found that. Plus he
found that extra minute you wrote?
Plus he didn't give me a single question to ask any of them.
Oh,
because
yeah,
he found out their
mined.
fucking social security numbers.
Yeah.
I had nothing to, I knew their name and their middle name and their first kids, first period. And I was just like, this is insane. I have like...
Because that's the worst when if a person in front of you does so much crowd work, because it's not like we rely on crowd work, but it's more of a thing of where you go, if you're in the back of the room, just for the people listening, if you're in the back of the room and you see someone doing crowd work and you're like, oh, these people that he's talking to have been married 47 years and like it gets a nice applause and you're like, oh, maybe I can do something with that when I get on. Then you have to start going like, who is he talking to? Like you have to figure out who in the crowd he's talking to and try to remember that, but in a reverse way for when you get on stage to be like, look left and in the middle somewhere.
Well, and especially when you're not performing as much as you'd like, it's kind of a device to get into your shit.
Yeah.
So if I haven't ironed out any segues, the very least I can do is ask a question that leads directly into the topic I'm going to discuss
100%.
next. So it's just a tougher 42 minutes, right? But at least at this point it's 7:50.
And is it still bombing from
the moment he started till the moment he ended? Like, dude,
I wish that hell on no one.
It's not his fault. I'm saying that honestly. It's not his fault. He gets off and collapses into I almost said a bag of bones, but it was a ball of bones.
Dripping sweat?
Pouring sweat, the most physical activity he's gotten in, a fortnight. And but in my head, I'm like, I think I can do, this is fine. I got 40 minutes. I was like, I'll cut out some of the stuff I was thinking about doing. I'll keep it tighter. I know how to push them up top.
So how much time do you have left to
I have
play
40
with?
minutes.
You have exactly 40.
I have exactly 40 minutes. So I was like, you know what? I'll do 30 of the killer of what I do, of what I have now, and that'll just be like I think I could do this. The greatest delusion on earth. I get on stage and, Brendan kept asking what they do for a living, and literally every single person was in real estate. Every single person. None of them knew each other, I guess, or they probably knew each other because they were all members, but they weren't coworkers. Mm-hmm. They were all competition for each other. So I get on stage. I'm like, I have just a thing to say to this crowd. I know exactly how to bust them open. They'll know I've been listening. This will mean a lot to them. I get on stage and I go, hello, real estate convention of Long Island. And they were just like,
that's not who we are.
Yeah, they're like, what convention? And I was like, I thought I was being silly. I literally said, I'm like, I thought I was kidding, whatever. And it did have me question reality a few times, because I think at some point I stopped and I was just like, you guys have never been trained to watch a live performance of any kind.
Right.
Because I've just never seen people experiencing so many different things in one room where you all came to see a show.
Right.
You didn't come here for dinner. It wasn't dinner plus comedy. It was comedy. That's why you came to this place. Otherwise, it's not really a fucking hang, of a venue.
Sure.
So it's like, they were not only not interested in me, they weren't interested in themselves.
Right.
I'd ask them a question, one of the 6 that Brendan left me on Earth, and
what'd you eat last Thursday?
Yeah. What's your daughter's biggest fear? Yeah. I don't know. Some man asking that question.
Yeah. Now, also, can I just ask this? Did Homeless Pimp and John, did they film Brendan's set too?
I think they may have.
Okay.
I think they did.
That could be a real fun thing.
So, yeah, but again, if any, let's get to it.
Yeah.
So I'm asking them questions, and they start scrolling their phone on themselves. And I'm like, oh, okay, so nothing is going to do this. I kind of just powered through or whatever, but continued to do my act and tried to pop them with a joke or two. And every once in a while, a thing would hit, and then it would go back to nothing, or they'd start talking to each other. And it was and then I'm gearing into what is supposed to be my 15-minute closer. I have this big chunk, and as I'm doing the second joke in it out of 30, I get the the light. So I go, gotta go, and I threw the mic and I walked off stage.
How many minutes into your set were you?
30! Brendan headlined from second position.
What a sneaky little raccoon. Holy shit. So you had to run off stage?
So I had to run off stage. This isn't even the end, by the way.
No.
I walk over to Homeless Pimp. I put my mask on and I'm just 1,000-mile stare. What the fuck just happened? This is out of control. And he was just like, wow, this is epic. You know, he's working with comics where people go out to see them intentionally.
Yeah,
and then I bring him to fucking Long Island where it's supposed to be a home run of a show and it's anything but that. It's a foul ball that rolled back and hit you directly in your balls.
So would you consider yourself that you were bombing for the 30 minutes or just that it wasn't, a filmable show?
It's both. I bombed at parts, I stumbled at parts because I was so not used to the circumstances.
Right.
I definitely said jokes in ways that I wouldn't had I been comfortable.
Yeah.
But then I rebounded at points. There could be some salvageable stuff, but who knows? I think we're gonna do a video that says comedy's back and it's just a 10-minute highlight of me bombing.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I say, if you have Brendan to get a supercut of all that too, of him it's just a counter at the bottom, minute 12, minute 27, minute 38.
Dude, so I get, we're off stage and I'm just talking to Homeless Pimp about what the fuck just happened, and some rod with good Charlotte hair and a fucking, mask hanging off of his nose comes running over to me. He's like, false alarm, you can go back up. And and I go, no.
Yeah.
I go, absolutely not. And 3 other people are like, you getting back up there? You going back up? And I'm like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And who do you fucking think I am?
Yeah.
In what world am I going to be well, that was 30 minutes of just foot on the gas fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back up there and take 6 more minutes of that.
Just pick up the mic. And so, you remember what I was saying. Sorry, I had to.
That's when you want to make your Irish goodbye.